Hello there. This is Jimmy Dean Bob Timothy, and this is Bedtime Stories with Jimmy Dean Bob Timothy. So here goes nothing. Once upon a time, there was a man that I like to call Jimmy Dean Bob Timothy, and he was the baddest redneck of them all. He had the biggest truck, the biggest tires on the biggest truck, and he'd take that bad boy out mudding. And it wasn't just any kind of mudding. This was high quality clay mudding, like that you find down in Atlanta, only it was in a place I like to call Mansburg. And in this mud bogging story, Jimmy Dean Bob Timothy finds himself in a very sticky situation, but we'll get to that momentarily. So Jimmy Dean Bob Timothy is riding in his little truck listening to some tunes. Girl, you know you make me want to roll my wind. Yeah, all that jibber jabber and clinkety clank chunk chank. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Alright, so anyways, gets to the stop sign. He's like, man, this is the best time you'll ever have. And he looks over, and all of a sudden, Timothy, the toothless wonder from the farm down at Unicorn Baby Makers, is next to him. He's like, hey, Jimmy Dean Bob Timothy, you want a race? You're gonna get a race. So Jimmy Dean Bob Timothy, knowing him, he's like, oh, girl, let me tell you something. I want a race. So, on the word go, they shot off the finish line. And at the finish line, they got into a little altercation. Because apparently in the little crease, like when you read between the lines like this, there was some cheating. But it wasn't by Jimmy Dean Bob Timothy, because he's the hero of the story. So anyways, back to what I was saying. So what you gonna want to do is, anyways, back to what I was saying. Anyways, wrong story, back on track. Anyways, so after this altercation, Jimmy Dean Bob Timothy takes his big mud bone truck. He parks back down at the farm of cows and steeds. You know what I'm saying? There's a couple stallions there too. Anyways, so he parks his truck and he takes the pitchfork, his 12 gauge shotgun. But not just, there's just not an ordinary barrel on this shotgun. It was a slug barrel. You know what I'm saying? Semi-automatic after you cock that sucker. Anyways, so he walks into the backwoods, or as I like to call it, the mists of glory of Jimmy Dean Bob Timothy. So he's on this walk, right? And when he goes on this walk, he's like, hey, is that a deer? All of a sudden, Timmy, the toothless wonder from the farm of Unicorn Baby Making, pops out. He's like, hey, what are you doing in my woods, you stupid silly head? Anyways, he was like, why are you in my woods? And, of course, the hero was like, these are my woods, young citizen. And then, all of a sudden, he takes his pitchfork and throws like an arrow. That fast, probably faster than that, but he was around that speed. So, it hits Toothless Timmy right in the mouth, but didn't phase him because he ain't got no tooth, you know what I'm saying? But then he pulls out a shotgun. He's like, you want to go around? Well, do you, punk? After that, dude, it was just all bad for Toothless Timmy. He had a couple holes in him. He had a pitchfork in his mouth. They were chewing on like baby chews on that Ruger spoon, you know what I'm saying? After that, they get to the championship of mud bogging. Needless to say, Jimmy Dean Bob Timothy took it by a mile. It was crazy. It was a glorious day. But I have a confession. I'm Jimmy Dean Bob Timothy. It's kind of one of those scenarios where like you're watching Star Wars, and then it's like, Luke, I am your father. Almost like that, only I'm saying, watchers, I am Jimmy Dean Bob Timothy. But, yeah, well, that concludes this story of Jimmy Dean Bob Timothy and adventures through the glory mist hole. No, not glory mist hole. That sounds really, really bad. Anyways, Tune in for more of JB and me for our bedtime stories. America.